Well, hey, it's Rob, and I am at the Savoy Automotive Museum here in Cartersville, Georgia. Beautiful day outside, so why not spend it inside at a museum? I was here a little while ago and put up a video of a presentation they had when they brought a Tucker to the museum. I'll pretty much go anywhere to see a Tucker, but it's been about a year, so we're going to pop back in and see what's going on here. I specifically came because they have an exhibit. It's called Built for a Crisis. And it is, I think, about a half dozen 70s economy cars, but you just don't see them in this kind of shape anymore. So let's go on and pop into the old Savoy Museum in Cartersville and see what they got going on today. All right, well, we got to start with the most 70s of 70s cars, the AMC Pacer. They called this the first wide, small car. You can certainly see why. Quick story, my mom's friend had one of these in green, and we went to the movies once. She left it running with the keys in it, and nobody stole it. So that should tell you something. Look at the doors here. One of the most interesting things about the Pacer is the driver's door is actually smaller. Look where it's cut in there to the roof, and you'll see on the other side what I'm talking about. They have these big sills where you put your arms. Very strange design feature. Anyway, so the Pacer was supposed to have a Wankel rotary engine, but they never got it together with that, so they just pulled something off the shelf at AMC as they did. AMC, if you're not familiar, was like always the runner-up to the big three, always in their shadow, and just trying to, get it together and put cars together as best they could on their meager budgets. They said this was like sitting in a fishbowl, and you can see why. Lots of glass. This is the AMC X model, I think, with alloy wheels, a little fancier. They had some with Navajo pattern interiors. Anyway, so look at this door here, how far it's cut back almost to that rear side window there, and you get 2 or 3 more inches versus you can see it's not cut in that way on the driver's side. They did this for safety. They wanted to encourage the backseat passenger to come out on the right side as opposed to walking out in traffic. But if you owned one of these back in the 70s, you might have thought about walking out in traffic. They were not popular cars. I guess they sold some initially and then quickly went downhill from there. Crazy looking 70s cars. All right, here's the AMC Gremlin. Again, Detroit had to scramble to put together these economy cars in any way they could. This was a Hornet, and they just chopped the back off of it. Again, very plain interiors. Economy cars were not fancy at all. In the 70s, just your basic runabout transportation. Dog dish wheels. This is, of course, no exception. Just your standard old Gremlin. We would see these all the time. Kids would get these as hand-me-downs and drive them in high school in the 80s. And then all of a sudden you notice, boy, I just never see these things anymore. With most economy cars, nobody really took care of them. You just drove them around, beat them into the ground, and off you went. There's the little Gremlin guy on the steering wheel. A column-mounted automatic shifter. Not something you see anymore. All right. I'd like to say things are improving, but unfortunately, this is a Chevy Vega, an early Chevy Vega. Nice to see the Michigan license plates this is from 71. They were red back then, and there's one of them. The Vega was known to be a very poor quality car. One of the main issues is that it had an aluminum block, but an iron head. So those two never mated together properly, and head gaskets blew, and they always leaked. They had multiple problems with the rust on these cars, the old tin worm, and, they were just falling apart as soon as you bought them. Front ends were breaking off, and all sorts of crazy stuff were happening to the Vega. It's not a bad-looking car, but just not a quality car at all. That's why it's interesting when you see one at all in this shape, because that's not going to happen very often. And here we get to, of course, the lowly Pinto, the much hated economy car of the 70s, and anybody who knows anything about a Pinto expects it to explode at any minute. Ford was able to eventually improve that and put in some kind of little bumper between the gas tank and the back of the car, which improved things. I think it cost $2 or $3. And there was, of course, it's not a rumor, I think it's a fact, that a memo went out saying, hey, we know we could fix these and make them safer, but we'd rather just have a few people die and pay for that than have to pay millions of dollars to retrofit these cars. Everyone had a Pinto back in the day. You saw them all the time. And because they had the drop-in gas tank, that meant the gas tank roof, the top of it, was basically the floor of the trunk. It dropped in from the top, from the trunk. And when you had a fire, of course, the fire went inside the vehicle. Now, Pinto's not the only one that is guilty of that. The classic Mustang and many other cars made in the 60s and 70s had the same design, so it wasn't just them. All right, this is something you're just not going to see. This is owned by the GM Heritage Center, and this is a bicentennial edition Chevy Chevette. If you look close, and I kind of zoomed in on this, those are little bald eagles in that little pattern. If you weren't alive back then, 1976, it's all people were thinking about was the bicentennial, at least until July 4th. And there's the little bald eagles there. And anything you could get with bicentennial on it, well, people went crazy for it. You had drinking glasses and radios. And this is not the only bicentennial edition car. This is the Chevette. Chevette was truly a world car. They made an Opel Kadett that looked like this. They made an Isuzu that looked like this. They made a Vauxhall Chevette. Pontiac made one called the T1000. It's nice to see those bicentennial Michigan license plates. That is perfect for this car. And I've got one of those hanging up in my garage as well. But again, a car you saw all the time, and then now they're all gone. This is probably the nicest Chevette still in existence. You look at the window sticker, you can see the price, very low. I'm trying to see a little over $3,000. This is the 1776 Heritage cloth bucket seat. How much did that option cost you there? Did I back out a little bit so we could see? Zip by it. But anyway, I'm sure it wasn't very much. Probably set you back another, $120 or something or other. And this is literally probably the only one left of the Bicentennial Heritage Edition Chevette. Do you know they made the Chevette in some form or other, I think, till 1998, I read. All right, so 75, they try to redeem themselves here with the Cosworth Vega. This actually was a nice car. This one has 60 miles on it. This was giving a Corvette a run for its money. Actually, the price was only within like $1,000 of the Corvette. It has this English Cosworth twin-cam 16-valve engine, very ahead of its time. They worked out a lot of the problems on the Vega as they went along. There's a steering wheel you would see on a Camaro as well, and that engine-turned dashboard. Like I said, this is a nice car. They were, pretty expensive back in the day. I'm trying to focus in on there and can't really see what's that say, almost $6,000. So, hey, twice the price of that Chevette. And this is probably one of the cleanest ones, if not the cleanest one currently in existence. Got 29 miles per gallon. Not bad. Of course, they changed the way mileage was figured after the 70s, and it was more accurate, so that's probably not likely to be the case. Anyway, beautiful Chevy Cosworth Vega. Would love to own something like that. We will take a look at the display here called Built for a Crisis, and take one quick walk through again. Look at these cars, the Chevette, the Pacer. Boy, like I said, my high school parking lot was just filled with these things, and now all gone. You just don't see them anymore. Of course, the colors too, the beige, very typical color for the 70s, and the Gremlin, and finally we'll settle back in on the old AMC Pacer. Look at that guy. All right, as a little bonus, I threw in one more car here at the end, and my God, look at this thing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 1968, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Bizzarini GT Strada 5300, $1 million car if I've ever seen one. Just a beautiful Italian car. Bizzarini worked for Alfa Romeo. Then he built cars with this guy named Revolta. Eventually went on his own, and this was one of the cars that he made. I think they said they made 133 of these bad boys. Just look at this thing. Absolutely beautiful. Inside and out, something you just never see. All right, thanks for watching.